Pause. It's time for the video game podcast where the Konami code is alive and well. The console wars don't exist. Rings are just as valuable as coins. Pots are not safe from swords. Giant robots kick ass. And fireballs are a perfectly acceptable weapon in a fist fight. That's right. It's time for the Super Gamer Bros podcast, Ultra Hyper Alpha Super EX Double Impact Plus A Live. Settle in and let's get to gaming.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Super Gamer Bros. We've been gone on vacation a little while, and one of us is still on vacation. That would be Cynic. He'll be popping in and out this week as we have moved to a new daily routine with you guys of just having a lot of fun and really expanding our topics out so you guys get a daily dose of Super Gamer Bros. I don't know if y'all are ready for that or not, but fair warning, this week's going to be a very heavy week. It's going to be trigger-inducing. We are all on the same page telling you that now with agreeing that what's happening to Activision and Blizzard is very well founded, and they did a lot of fucked up things, but we will have discussions that may indicate otherwise. Don't freak out. It's just for discussion purposes and to evaluate.
There is no defending what we're about to talk about.
There's no defending, but we may say some things that come across differently. Just be prepared. It's just for discussion purposes. We are not saying it is okay. Because if you've watched this show before, you know how much Cassandra gets into these bad gaming company things, and this is going to be a week of dealing with that. So she is going to be our subject matter expert on this because I know what's going on, but not as deeply. And Shailik El Guapo, as we need to call him down below, is definitely not really on the cusp of things because he's been super busy. So welcome to this week's Super Gamer Bros, which we are entitling When the Giants Fall. I am one of your amazing gamers, Slayton. You can find me on Xbox all over the place. Like I said, Cynic is out. I'm doing some vacation stuff, so he'll be back with us when he gets back. Of course, with me is my other fun cohort in Doom, Cassandra.
I am also Neo Nerd Lady on Xbox and Pocky D on Steam, so you can always find me there.
And my fun brother that I love to death, El Guapo.
Yes. Yeah,
Every time I say that, you need to have like some wrestling style theme music. Like we just need to cue that shit up.
I'm just saying that I've already heard some other crimes involving food in this conversation. The whitest white girl crime I've ever heard.
Fair warning. I had a family cookout the other Friday, and El Guapo showed up and seasoned all the fajitas and chicken fine. When I put shit away, it goes in the same thing in the refrigerator. And he realized I did that, and I got scolded on his way out of my house. Like, I had committed the ultimate sin against humanity. Like, what am I going to do?
You just can't put beef fajita with chicken fajita.
I know. And it was just fine, thank you very much.
No.
Cardinal sin.
It is not even close to being a cardinal sin. Okay, so.
Okay, so first.
Hold on. A lot's happened with Activision and Blizzard, and everything imploded. So today we're going to be talking about the charges that have been brought against Activision and Blizzard and what they kind of mean.
Some of the charges. We can't go through all of them.
Yeah, so the next two episodes after this, we're going to be looking at the fallout from it, and then we're going to wrap it up with an episode talking about how do we move on from this.
Yeah,
so, welcome to episode 1.
Trigger warning.
What the fuck did they do? And yes, as we've already told you, we just come into this knowing we 100% agree with these allegations. We're not defending them, but we may have conversations that you may not want to hear or agree with, but understand it's just for conversation purposes. That is it.
Okay, we also need to put the trigger warning of suicide, sexual assault, and rape. Because this is everything that they're being accused of.
All right. So,
Aesthetic is just...
I'm seeing El Guapo's face of, wow, really? So, lay it out to us in a nutshell, Cassandra. What's going on?
Okay. So, first off, literally the state of California, specifically the Fair Housing and Employment group of California, basically protects workers and minorities with work and fair housing. So they basically can't deny you a house because you're gay or you're black or whatever. is suing Blizzard Activision after a 2-year lengthy investigation.
2 years?
2 years.
And they had no idea this investigation was going on.
No, they didn't know what the investigation was involving. They knew where they were being investigated, but they didn't know for what. We're going to go more into this later, because if you think that's stupid, there's more.
Hold on, but here's what I find so weird. For a company that's being accused of so many of these things, you think something in their executive leadership would have been like, hey, y'all, maybe we need to reevaluate a few things here, because I have a feeling, just a little feeling, this might be something that's going to get us in trouble. That's what they're looking at right now.
Do the investors care? No.
That's subject of a deeper problem.
Care.
All right, so 2 years they've been investigating this thing.
Right, and finally, I'm going to preface this. Blizzard had a way out. California went up to them saying, hey, you need to change your business practices. You need to come to seminars. You need to have a third-party investigation. You need a third-party group to come in and fix your shit.
So Blizzard was the snitch?
No. Blizzard told them that they couldn't make games if they followed their rules.
Wow.
So, what were the allegations? Now we're going to get into it.
Hold on. Before we get to that, El Guapo, what do you think of this so far?
Honestly, I just feel like it's an open door to pretty much what we all know goes on anyways. So
yeah.
We all know that these big businesses have these malpractices all the time, and sometimes it's Apple, sometimes it's Nike, and now it's Activision and Blizzard. So it is. I mean, it's kind of like how things normally go. So I'm not really surprised.
All right, Cassandra, hit us with some of the allegations.
I can't. So first off, I'm not going to go through all of them because there are over 100 lines of articles of allegations. 100 lines. By the way, this is 29 pages of a legal-sized document, which is about 35 normal pages. Females would be paid up beginning of 20% less than their male counterparts. Females of color would even be paid less. This is on top of the fact that Blizzard Activision has already been accused of underpaying their employees so little that some of them cannot afford to eat at their own cafeteria. So females are even being paid less than that.
So first charge, let's talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how we are still living in a day and age where this is actually a thing. Like, how on earth are there still, I'm just going to say it, stupid-ass old white people in charge who don't understand that everyone is the same. Everyone deserves the fair. How has this not happened? How has these laws not been passed that would have prevented this from happening?
Because it's called lobbyists, and they spend billions of dollars, so they don't have to spend billions of dollars.
You
work, we should preface this. You work at a radio station where they talk about lazy people wanting the government dime, even though all they have to do is raise the minimum wage, and they talk about how the minimum wage should never be raised because it's not a wage that nobody lives off of.
Then we need to get rid of all those right-wing Christian conservative people. They do not need to be in charge. They should not be allowed to be in charge because they are living backwards.
Yes.
It's sad. It's super sad. And this is based in California, right?
Yeah, this is California.
It's even worse that California didn't stop this before it started happening either, because California is usually way ahead of the liberal game. I'm not going to say. I mean, that's just the way it is.
No, they have been. They've literally been fighting this longer than this. These allegations are literally a composite. This is like one ugly homunculus. Think the end baby creature from Akira. This is that monster that they're bringing to light. Allegations of a scenario called a cubicle crawl, where male employees would get drunk off high liquor or come into work drunk, literally crawl through women's cubicles, make sexual physical advances, threats of rape or jokes about rape, and do physical unwanted touching, including sexual assault.
This charge. Hold on. When you're done with talking about the charge, I want to get El Guapo's opinion on this one.
Including several officials, including HR, was notified of this, and this is going to be a common theme. HR ignored it, including even telling the people who were told that they shouldn't do it. Who told them?
El Guapo, what is your take on this one?
Man, that's a really sensitive subject. I mean, when it comes to having the knowledge of what the world is really like, I would at first hand believe that this shit's legit. I do believe a lot of it's going down, but until they take it to a house of court, they say innocent until proven guilty. See where it goes, because I've seen both sides. Definitely when it considered harassment, stuff like that. Because when I was in the Army, I was in behavioral health, so I was a part of sexual harassment, stuff like that, assault, all that stuff. And so I've seen people who have been victims of that, and I've seen people who played victim of that and have gotten other people in trouble. And given that the society we live in, it's kind of messed up when things happen like this, because it always splits people. That's always divisive. Is she lying, or is she lying, or is this the truth and we need to get it out? So for me, I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to sit, wait, feed in the information, and go from there, honestly.
I just see this like overgrown man-child crawling around on his hands and knees, peeking up skirts, and I'm just thinking, who thinks this is okay?
It's not just they think it's okay. They put them in charge of projects.
It doesn't even sound like for me personally, I'm like, what kind of environment would you have to allow these things to happen? Something like a normal business or environment, I would be like, how would you even have the space to even do stuff like this? How would you have that's one hell of an environment to breed if you can just have things happen like that.
It's that, and the fact that if you've watched the show before, as Cassandra's listening to know, this is kind of a video game industry norm, and it shouldn't be.
This is the level of this is abnormal. This is why this is so bad. They've gotten so bad that even by normal standards, this is bad.
And that's saying something, because there's something very wrong with you just watching these dudes creep around. And I don't know why these women didn't leave. Maybe they felt they were trapped. Maybe they had contracts. There had to be some reason if HR's not doing something. At least, I can only imagine how long this has been going on. Like for years and years of just the inmates running the asylum and just being very, very, very uncomfortable. It's
been going on about 2005 is when we started getting these really first reports.
Well, one of the things that
the first reports
I don't think about is because, like Phil will tell me, you're white, you're fine wherever you go. I don't think about that, but I had this long conversation with someone recently who was just like, it's hard being not white, not male, and this is why. And it was a just eye-opening conversation of things I just don't think about. Like, I know if I were there, saw this, I wouldn't have allowed it to go on. I would have stopped it. They would have fired my ass.
Yeah.
But the simple fact that these women felt so trapped that they had to either stay there, but where else are they going to go? If this is as bad as Activision was being, can you imagine what other places are probably being like? Like, we're going to talk about that eventually, but holy crap.
Like I'm just going to say this as a precursor to what we're going to get to later. The French government is suing Ubisoft.
Which you have all sorts of problems with Ubisoft. I do, because they just make one game, Assassin's Creed, but whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't help that they literally are the Vatican, that they literally will protect sexual predators.
How bad? I'm
gets
looking
worse.
at some of these notes. Okay, keep going.
So let's. I'm going to try to keep as much as to one side of the spectrum as I go. The last line is going to be the last line, because that's the heaviest. There is no. That's the conversation ender right there. Women were kicked out of lactation rooms. Now, many offices have what they call lactation room or breastfeeding room. These rooms are supposed to be allocated purely for that reason. You're not supposed to use it for any other reason. Women would be thrown out of their rooms while breastfeeding their children, so all male manager meetings could happen.
But that's not what a lactation room is for. You have meeting rooms for that. Come on, Activision. You've got like 8 fucking meeting rooms. You don't need to go do this.
They have a minimum of 8 meeting rooms. There's way more. And those rooms, the thing about lactation rooms is they're very small, but they have couches and stuff, so the women can sit comfortably while they breastfeed.
Well, they get couches for the other damn rooms. It's like you don't have the money. You have fucking Blizzard and Warcraft under your belt.
They're too busy giving Bobby Kotick a $1.155 billion bonuses. Bonuses. That's not their pay. That's just their bonus.
Okay, El Guapo, do you find it really weird that they had women's breastfeeding rooms, but they treated women like shit? Like, they're like, oh, here's a breastfeeding room, but you know what? You're going to be harassed the rest of the time you're here. But that's a perk.
Oh, no.
I feel like it's one of those things that people, like, companies have always done where it's just like, doing it because someone's looking down on us, so we have to pretend like we care. In actuality, we don't give a fuck.
I mean, this whole thing just is incredibly fucking sad.
Mm-hmm. And who had it worse was females of color. One female of color, after working there for 2 years, was finally given employment status, which was insane. She had already worked 2 years, including working on one major project. Another female asked for a day off that she was supposed to have with workers. Her boss demanded her to fill out an entire one-page essay on what she was doing on that one day off and why she deserved to have it. Yet no one else was ever asked of this scenario.
Okay, so
woman of color, hold on, gotta finish this last part off. One woman of color was micromanaged to the point that even how she sat, crouched, or even her job that she was a specialist in, she was micromanaged to hell and back to the point of quitting herself.
I don't understand why I've said it before, I cannot figure out, because the geek community has always been so open. We've always been the outsiders. We know what it feels like, and we're supposed to be inclusive, and the gamer community is included in that, but we've constantly got this fucking male gamer ego that I don't get. It's a fucking video game, y'all. It's not fucking real. You're supposed to play it with people. There will always be someone better than you. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not fucking real. How are you going to try to claim that and drive people off? How as a community that we're supposed to be understanding, our inspirations are Star Trek and Star Wars and these games with like D&D where you can be anything you want. Like, it's a fucking veritable melting pot that has been our inspiration, and we turn around and we do this stupid fucking shit.
Because it's also all male driven. That's the ugliest part of it all. They got upset when Doctor Who became a woman. Your fictional space alien who can regenerate and uses sound waves.
That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, well, they did. Also, they got upset with the female Jedi.
Well, they're just like the backlash from the Ghostbusters movie. I'm just to the point where I was like, y'all, firebomb it all. Put these new people in charge. Because you're transitioning. Mm-hmm. El Guapo's a person of color. Yeah. Cynic and I like the token white guys, but he has a little girl. Mm-hmm. What is he gonna think about for the future for her? I've got a little boy. He's 16. He's already a jackass. He's gonna be perfectly fine, but he knows not to fucking act that way.
But I'm not saying anything against you. I want to preface this first, that I don't want the comments saying, Cassandra said Gavin's son will be a complete raging hormone asshole. But he can act that way as long as he is surrounded by that community.
No. Hold on. He fucking knows better. Just like Shiny will tell you, it's how you raise your freaking children. He knows better. He's been in that community. He plays Roblox. Trust me, there's some toxic shit in fucking Roblox. He's dealt with all of that. He knows better. He has respect for people.
But after a while, a very toxic mentality, particularly when you're working in it, and those people that are above you are being really toxic, and you can progress your career by being toxic, and you will put yourself as, this isn't the real me, I just want to progress through the career.
My child will leave. I cannot speak for Shiny.
I'm looking at 100 and something line articles that says a lot of people did that shit. Because a lot of those people had to be good people in the beginning.
A lot of people did that shit. They made the wrong choices, and they better fucking pay. But they made that choice because they weren't raised properly, and they let greed take over. Before we wrap this up and go into the last section, El Guapo's a parent too. And he deals with a lot of angsty teenagers. Am I right? It's how you fucking raise them.
I think it's like, to further capitalize on that, I think it's teaching your kids what to do when they're not under you. Because I feel like no matter what you do, if you say this is bad, don't touch fire because it's hot, it's different if you don't teach them beyond that, because then they go, like she said, they go out into the environment. They're like, oh, well, my dad taught me it's bad to say the N word, but all my friends around me are saying it, so it must not be. Either my dad's wrong or it's not as bad as my dad says. So
it's the teaching the why.
Yeah,
I hate when parents just go, because I said so. No, you always give them the why.
Yeah,
and you enforce that.
Yeah, because all three of my kids are white, and the two youngest ones, I guess you could say they're the political activists, and they have very, 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 very strong feelings when it comes to a lot of things. It's like having little mini Pockies sometimes, and but what helps me feel good to be their parent is because they listen with open ears, and they also can take what they know and be like, okay, like this is bullshit. This is bullshit. Okay, this is something I should take in. This is bullshit. But that's from cultivating your child, like, because you can teach them, hey, this is wrong. This is wrong. But when they're gone, they have to be able to have the mindset to be like, okay, based off what I've learned and been cultivated by, I know this is wrong. Because evil comes in different ways. If you tell them this is evil, you have to always teach them like evil can be multiplied, it can be divided, it can be, it can be spread out. So it's like you have to, that's parenting's fucking hard.
It is hard, but I think the problem with is these are kids. Whoever this executive leadership is in this fucking company, got lost in the ultra male mentality. Because that is still something that was taught in past generations. My dad tried to teach it to me, I just wasn't having it.
For me, I think it's even less of that. I feel like being human, one of the faults that we have is most likely we're gonna do what is allowed of us. So even if we know it's wrong, if it's allowed, then 9 times out of 10 we're gonna do it. Because
I agree to a point. If it's an innocent thing like taking a pen, that's fine. But when you are actively ruining someone's life and being so discriminatory, you are fucking up, and that's a mentality that you're okay with.
But some people are okay with, like you said, some people are okay with that. It's about what they can get away with, because if you're my brother, right?
Yeah.
If I walk up to you and I can punch you in public and nothing ever happened to it, but if I knew I would get something would happen, right? Someone call the cops, something would happen. But if I could just punch you in the face and nothing would happen, even if I knew it was wrong, I'm going to do it now.
Bitch, I'm going to punch you in the face if you come at me. Trust me. We'll be throwing down in the front yard.
But I'm saying, but like, if you knew it's wrong, but it's openly like rape and murder and assault is wrong, right? But if you're in an environment where you're not going to get in trouble,
it's still wrong.
Some people are going to do it.
And it's still wrong. So there's a fundamental issue with these people that they need to just be taken out of the picture. Period.
And the problem is a lot of
these conversations come back to it's part of the ugly side of humanity, honestly. Because I feel like a lot of the reasons people don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who do things out of morality, right? They do things because they believe it is the right thing to do. But there's a shit ton more people who believe I'm gonna do what's not gonna get me put in jail, or what I'm gonna do whatever I need to do so I'm not locked up for the rest of my life, or I get murdered. So in the normal society, assault, sexual harassment, that shit's awful, right? But if you're in a specific environment that allows you to do that, you're gonna be like, well, fuck it. Because if you don't have that sense of if you don't live your life by a sense of morality and more of a sense of if I'm gonna get fucking reamed for it, then a lot of people are gonna do that. And that's why you have.
I see where you're coming from.
And actually to have this, because people forget. Like, for example, I'll use The Purge for example, right? It's a whole movie designed where everything's perfect, and then you have these nice people who murder people on one special day. It's because it's allowed. So it's like the same thing. Not everyone lives by morality. It lives by, hey, if I do this, I can get in trouble, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sexually assault this woman because I can end up in jail for fucking 5 or 10 years. So I'm not gonna do that. Oh wait, I can do this and not be at risk of getting in trouble.
Or worse yet, get promoted. They'll get promoted. But let's go.
Hold on. We have one last aspect to it because we're almost out of time, and this is where
trigger warnings.
There's nothing to talk about here.
No.
This is how we're going to end this episode, because this wraps up everything wrong. And this is exactly why the old guard needs to get the fuck out. These new kids, like my nieces and nephews need to rise up and start taking roles of leadership to fix this, so that in the next generation we are not having this fucking discussion again. There's so much that needs to happen, and I'm so happy to hear that they're active like that. They're in that point, and that's our future. My kid's more apathetic. He's not really going to care, but all these other kids I know, they are, and it's because they're being raised properly. I think the Karens and the right-wing people they're always going to be there, but they don't have nearly as many kids as the rest of us have. Let's just face facts here. They're very prim and proper. You've got one kid, maybe 1.5. I never understood the 1.5 children, like the 2.5 kids. Like, how do you half of a child? Anyways,
it's called statistic math, sir.
Yeah. So
last thing, a preface thing before I say any words coming out of my mouth. There's a trigger warning for suicide. Would now continue. A woman was told to go on a business trip with one of her managers. He sexually harassed her to the point of leaving a butt plug and lube out with the intent purpose of, as the court said, left it with display of clear intent purpose of what it was supposed to be used for. Also, during a holiday party, the same manager leaked possibly nudes, they don't know if they're photoshopped or not, around, ruining this woman. Since she was forced to stay with this man on a business trip during the night, she committed suicide to get away from her manager. This was the last straw she could think of.
There's something horrendously, but also more at play here. There has to be contracts they force their employees into with, for lack of a better term, death clauses if you want to leave.
Yeah. So the answer is, and this was something I was going to say at the beginning, you're asking why can't they leave? Why don't they leave? The answer is to where? To Ubisoft? 10 years
get out of the industry. And I'm thinking the only reason they can't do anything is because they are contractually obliged to fulfill their contracts.
But then they suffer. It's like, okay, I just went to fucking college for 4 years to get a degree in my dream job. It's like, it's a lose-lose. It's like you stay, you have to deal with the shit. If you leave, you have to throw away your whole life because of cunts.
And the thing is, it's even if you leave, where are you going to go? What industry? And if you have to put this on your resume, what are they going to say? They're going to talk about how you were fluid. They're going to smear your name. For this woman who already had these allegations of nude photos being thrown around, for her, she saw the only way. And it's because Bobby Kotick and all those guys defended these guys to the end. And it is only when the Supreme Court of California said, sorry, we have to take this case because you literally refuse to do anything about it.
All right, so with that, we're wrapping up our look at what's going on with Activision. Now we're going to go a little deeper about the fallout from how this is happening. So we'll be back tomorrow with more Super Game Bros. This is not going to be a happy week.
Happier now.
You know it's not going to be a happy week. But
you realize that this put me in a spiral of depression. I read over half this court case.
I understand. But we'll be back tomorrow to talk more about this. Don't forget to like us and subscribe wherever you're watching us at, and comment as you're watching this. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts on what's going on, because this is pretty big, and it's gonna be fun to talk about how this is gonna really affect all the other players in the game that are doing the same thing. Like, uh-oh, we didn't get caught, but what are we gonna do? You're cutting off the top of your head, Shiley. You need to raise your camera just a little bit. He's like, no, fuck you!
That's all the fear.
I'll rig this up. That's because I broke the fucking clip thing that goes with.
It's gonna be all good, dude.
Where'd you go? You just lean back to your chair.
I just put it on the can of Lysol.
Hey, at least it'll be clean. All right.
Here we go. The Cosby room.
Here we go. 3,